Interim Conservative leader Candice Bergen looking ahead to the budget. Let's listen to her.
With the cost of living pressures. He's ignoring our calls for moderate tax relief for Canadians. He repeatedly said no to our request to give Canadians a GST holiday on fuel or cut the carbon tax. Unfortunately, this Prime Minister isn't listening to anyone except the NDP, which is his guarantee of power. Canadians should also expect that anyone who disagrees with the Prime Minister on this budget will be dismissed and called names. We are very concerned that Trudeau will continue his pattern of wedging, dividing, and stigmatizing Canadians as he has done in the past. Conservatives, however, will be unwavering in our goal and our determination to unite Canadians and give them hope once again. We believe the best way to unite this country again is to make life more affordable and empower Canadians to be able to work hard, earn a living, provide for their families, and get ahead. We don't believe that's too much to ask for in today's budget. Thank you very much. Merci. I will now ask my colleague Luc Berthold to provide a statement en français.
Merci beaucoup, Leader. C'est aujourd'hui que le gouvernement NPD
that the NPD Liberal government will table the budget. One thing is for sure, the more the Liberals spend, the more Canadians are put aside. What can we expect today from the budget? One prediction, I would say we should not expect a responsible, balanced, or moderate budget. The trend is your propensity to spend borrowed money will be at its top, but during this between Justin Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh. Today's Canada will know the details of the first NPD budget of its history. Canadians work hard, but even then they are powerless facing the price of living. Taxes are higher. Inflation is the record of 30 years. The price of gas, groceries, housing goes up. The cost of housing has doubled since the arrival of Justin Trudeau. Currently, how many young families are unable to buy a home as their parents and grandparents have done? How many parents need to make difficult choices at the grocery store? And how many workers have difficulty filling up their gas tank? Canadians deserve a responsible budget and a balanced budget, a budget that reduces taxes of families and gives them some financial security. Today, as a Conservative, we would have liked to have seen a plan that controls spending, a plan that attacks inflation, and a plan that reduces the cost of essentials. We want a budget that meets the problems of affordability of housing and favors accessibility to housing for millions of Canadians. We want the economy of Canadians to be stronger. The Liberal Party prefers dividing and stigmatizing Canadians that are not in agreement with them. You'll see it today in the reactions of the Prime Minister. Everybody that doesn't agree with him, he prefers attacking those who disagree with the increase of taxes and high debt. They will continue ignoring Canadians who suffer still and always with inflation, and they even go against sensible measures that would give respite to Canadians. I'm thinking here of our request of removing TPS on gas and the carbon tax, as the Conservatives have asked. The more Liberals go to the left, the more Canadians are abandoned. Happily, you can count on Conservatives to fight for Canadians. We will work hard to give hope back to Canadians. Thank you.
Commencer la période de questions. We'll now start the question period. We only have time for a couple of questions, so we'll start with Chris Rance.
Hi, Ms. Bergen. We all believe in the budget that the government will raise taxes on the big six banks and other corporations who've done well during COVID by about 3%. Just wondering, is this the time to raise the sort of taxes on the big six?
Conservatives don't ever believe raising taxes is a good thing. Certainly, we've been advocating for reduced taxes for Canadians at the pump. We asked for a reduction on GST holiday. We've asked for them to stop the carbon tax. But when you're increasing taxes, even on businesses, whether it's corporations, small businesses, it has an effect on investment. It has an effect on long-term growth. We said that we want to see a budget that has a plan for long long-term growth, and Conservatives believe that if you increase taxes, you harm the economy. So, no, we don't believe this is the time to increase taxes on anyone or any sector.
And it's good to see you personally. I understand your husband had COVID and was recovering. There is a health and safety ruling by the Speaker of the House of Commons that until June, every single person in the halls of this building wear masks. Yet 8 of your MPs, most notably former Speaker Andrew Scheer, Rachel Harder, Jeremy Patzer, and others, continue to walk through the halls of this building without masks. They are aware of this. There are free masks at the door. They refuse to do that. What can you do to get them to follow the health and safety of the person who runs this place?
I would encourage everyone in the precinct to follow rules, to wear masks. We probably all have seen examples of people not wearing masks when they should be. So we would encourage everyone to do that. And we're all looking forward to the day when we can get back to normal. And it's good to see a lot of provinces, including my home province, removing all the restrictions. We're looking forward to the federal government, including here on the precinct, following science, evidence, and removing restrictions. But until they are removed, we would encourage everyone to follow all of the rules.
Thank you. Next question, Jim.
Thank you. Ms. Bergen, you mentioned housing as a priority and a concern. Could you give us a bit more detail about what your party would propose to ease the housing crisis?
Well, we've been saying for a long time to ease the crisis, which is, let's be clear, this is a housing inflation crisis. This is the cost of housing, the value of a house doubling in a very short time, which is not sustainable. The answer to that is increased supply. And in order to increase supply, municipalities have to be part of the solution, obviously provinces, but the federal government can play a big role in incentivizing municipalities to allow the private sector to build homes. There needs to be a much greater supply of housing, especially at the entry level, and that will be part of the solution. There are also issues around limiting foreign ownership, and those solutions have to actually happen. But these government programs that dribble out, here's $10,000 that you'll have to pay back. I mean, this is not a matter of people not being able to save $10,000 or $15,000 for a house. They cannot afford $1 million home that 5, 6, 7 years ago would have cost them half that amount. So we believe that the solution absolutely has to do with increased supply. We believe the private sector can provide that, and they want to. Private sector wants to build, but there are so many roadblocks, barriers, costs, and the federal government seems to be ignoring that and just letting municipalities and cities basically see the cost of housing go up.
Okay, we've been listening live to interim leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, Candice Bergen, giving her party's preview of today's budget that will come down from the Liberal NDP partnership at about 4 p.m. She discussed the fact that inflation and deficit reduction are not part of what the Liberals will table today, not enough carbon tax or gas price relief, and too much tax spend and borrow and not enough focus on growth. CP24 will have extensive live budget day coverage all day, including, again, when it's tabled in the House at around 4 p.m.